When it comes to international rally racing, they don't come any cooler than the legendary Colin McRae. For the last 15 years, the daredevil driver they call the Flying Scotsman has been taking the World Rally Championship by storm. So it's no surprise that there's only one rally game that serious gamers care about, the one tested and approved by the Speed King himself, the Colin McRae Series.
Right then, when you're ready, put your foot down.
When the first Colin McRae Rally hit the streets back in 1998, it was hailed by critics and gamers alike as the ultimate rally sport game.
Now then, let's see how you did.
Version 2 stepped on the gas even harder, making major advances in graphics and gameplay. The authentic handling, white-knuckle speed simulation and adrenaline-inducing sound all made for an incredibly exciting driving experience. Now it looks like Colin McRae Rally 3 is set to leave the competition behind in a cloud of dust.
Colin McRae's been a huge success worldwide. We launched it back in July 1998, and so far the product's sold over 5 million units worldwide. We're pleased to say that it's been #1 in over 20 countries, and now nearly 50 countries worldwide have been selling Colin McRae, so it's truly a worldwide success.
Colin McRae 1 and 2 have been fantastically successful, so I think people have really high expectations as to what they're expecting of Colin McRae 3.
It is a very special art, and to drive like somebody like Colin McRae, I mean, you have to be very, very special.
Born into a Scots racing family, Colin McRae sped into the world back in 1968. And at only 22 years of age, the Flying Scotsman achieved his first international victory. From then on, there was just no stopping him, and in 1995, Colin took his first world title in style.
I think Colin is now officially the greatest rally driver of all time, having won more individual rallies than anybody else.
Every great rally driver needs a great co-driver, and Colin certainly found himself one in the shape of Welshman Nicky Grist.
Our partnership started in '97. As soon as we joined up, we basically had a great partnership, and we got into winning ways straight away, and I think we won something like 5 events in our first year. So, we've had a tremendous time together, and here we are, we're still going on and still winning rallies, and hopefully world championships as well.
In 1999, the Flying Scotsman decided he wanted to fly at even dizzier heights, and after taking a spin in Ford's new Focus RS World Rally car, decided to join up with the motoring world's top name.
It's built up to a very successful relationship, and of course Colin now being the most successful rally driver of all time.
So why have Colin and Nicky chosen to link up with Codemasters? Part of the secret of Codemasters' success has been down to the pioneering links it's made between the sport world's leading names and some of the most exciting sporting computer games. Titles like Jonah Lomu Rugby, Brian Lara Cricket and Mike Tyson Heavyweight Boxing.
Codemasters.
So it was no surprise that the world's top rally drivers should choose to link up with the company to create the ultimate rally game.
Nice one.
Colin and Nicky were involved right from the beginning in the creation of the game. And as the game has developed, so has the relationship.
Colin McRae and Nicky Grist particularly take a keen interest in the game. And we're delighted that they have approval, because they're going to add things into it that we perhaps haven't seen.
I mean, I've sort of, worked with Colin and Nicky, at some level for over 5 years, so, you get to know them pretty well over that period of time.
We've got the experience of the World Championship, and it's that experience that we've brought over to the team, just giving them some idea of the lie of the land, a few of the characteristic things for each event, the state of the road surfaces, the snow, the ice.
Nicky's huge experience in the world of rallying we've brought in to the game, and often Nicky's around the studio so that we can get him to look at the way we've represented cars and tracks, and again the handling of the car, and his role in the game has been quite central, and we're very delighted that he's part of that.
Nicky's been helping us specifically with the co-driver messages. He's actually writing pace notes for all of the stages in the game. So he's been beavering away at home, writing pace notes and then coming in and recording them.
I've made the pace notes for every single stage that you'll play on the game, then record them as they would be said, and then actually applying those notes with a counter onto the screen itself.
Long 2 left.
Colin McRae's role in the making of the game is quite central. Colin actually tests the tracks for us. He'll actually check on the physics of the car, and he'll tell us how real he thinks it is comparatively.
He's been involved in the handling characteristics and making sure that the car feels right and it's somewhere near. So you've got probably the closest thing to a World Rally car that you could get outside of a World Rally car within the game.
Codemasters. The computer modelling of Colin's renowned Ford Focus car is so authentic, it offers nothing less than a full-on simulation of the rally driving experience.
We're building cars with about 14,000 polys now, which is, compared to sort of 600 polys in the original games, it's 20 times more detailed. So we've been able to model the interiors, we've been able to model the drivers, all sorts of areas, brake discs, brake calipers. I mean, we've gone to lengths we could never have done before.
We can now have things like the doors opening. You can break away any of the panels and see the damage, not just the damage, but also the underpanels underneath.
We're trying to create a whole environment where the game flows a lot better. You really feel like you're part of an event. So you'll start in a service area, you'll move to the first stage, you'll participate in the events at the start of that stage, and then race it, and then again at the end of the stage, there'll be various events that need to happen before you move on to the next one. So it's a much more immersive experience more than anything else.
And to enhance the authenticity of the driving experience even more, the game has radically improved graphics.
Visually, all of the effects, we've got fantastic sort of dust and smoke kicking up off the tyres. We've got rain effects on the windscreen. The visual aspects of the game just look so much more impressive than anything we've been able to do previously.
Photorealism is really important. I think that's always been the aim for Colin, because Colin 3 is basically a realistic looking game. It's not stylised. We're not trying to make the cars or the graphics look arcadey or try to make them look cartoony at all. Realism's the key factor because we're trying to make the gameplay as realistic as possible. The graphics have to replicate that.
But perhaps the most important change for rally fans is that for the first time in the history of the game, you actually get to be the man himself.
The big gameplay feature, I guess, of this game is that for the first time you're actually going to drive as Colin McRae. You're going to compete in the game as him. Nicky Gristis, your co-driver, part of the Ford Rally team, competing, throughout the championships.
Actually being able to take on the mantle of Colin, very few games do that. You're normally just a third person playing, driving, playing football, whatever. But to actually be Colin and sort of mimic his season and his lifestyle and the way he drives, I think is quite unique. And I think, as a games player, I think that's fascinating.
Both Colin and co-driver Nicky are fully animated and react to every movement of the car. They sway when you take the corners, pitch forward when you brake, and Nicky will grab hold of the roll cage to steady himself when you crash. And as you take control of McRae, you can see him operating the car's controls.
Until we actually can strap somebody into a simulator, you don't get the true G-forces, which obviously gives you a fair idea of the movement and what have you. But I have to say that there are certain situations, especially when you're flying over jumps, for instance, that's something that I spoke to Guy about to get the right feeling, so you feel your sort of stomach coming up into your throat. I mean, you basically do get a lot of that in the game, and I have to say that we are moving forward. We've made great steps with this game, and it's far, far closer to the real thing.
Codemasters. Colin McRae Rally 3 gives you the chance to race around the world. Keeping it real as ever, the Codemasters team travelled the globe to capture the flavour of the international courses.
We've got 8 countries in this game. We've sent people, track designers and artists out to each of the countries, basically with camcorders and with digital cameras to just absorb the country and take as much footage as they possibly can. So they've come back with reams of film and thousands of photos that we then use to really try and build the objects and textures from.
What we've had to do to get that photorealism across is fly to all different countries, photograph them, do research trips, which people think are quite glamorous, but actually they're not. They are quite painful. Photographing trees day in, day out is quite laborious.
Ever wondered why it seems to take an age for that long-awaited game to make its way to your console? Whether it's gameplay, graphics or sound, getting a top-of-the-range game right can be extremely time-consuming.
Games traditionally take about 18 months. We normally have some of the design done very early on, so the first phase is really sort of design, research and development for the first few months of the project. You then move into a full-blown sort of production phase where you're building all the assets, and then finally obviously into the latter phases where it's sort of Q&A and getting the product ready to ship.
We have to spend a lot of time, we have to spot it to make sure that we can get those licenses, and then importantly we have to make sure we recreate them accurately in the game, because at the end of the day we're taking their brands like a Ford Focus, which they've spent millions and millions of pounds on developing, and it's up to us to recreate that as accurately as we can in the game. And that's what we do at Codemasters.
No matter how long it takes, there comes a point in the development of any game where you have to go public. We caught up with the Codemasters team as they were working round the clock to get a demo version of Colin McRae 3 ready for the gaming world's most important event, the annual Electronic Entertainment Expo, or as it prefers to be known, E3.
We're currently 14 months into the project. We're at a stage where we have all the assets of the game in place, so we're actually bringing all those together to start for the game to take shape, if you like. So we're putting together a demo which is basically part of that game for us to take to E3.
I'm a programmer, been here for about a year now. I've been mostly working on the AI to control the car along the track.
I'm doing like the loading stuff in the game, because in between stages we're going to have a fancy loading screen where the camera flies up from the track and zooms around a bit and then zooms back in again.
At the moment I'm trying to edit some textures of a building that's been made, which now has to be used on a night track.
Basically what I'm doing is making sure that the artwork and the stuff that the track designers are doing and the stuff that programmers are doing all comes together as one whole.
We're cutting versions almost every day now. We're cutting demo versions, testing them out, checking to see what's working and what's not working, making lists of things that we want to get working, and basically just working through as much as we possibly can over the next sort of 3 or 4 days. I'm hoping that we're going to have something towards the end of the week that we're happy with to take. I'm hoping it doesn't get into the weekend, but we'll see how things go.
Each of these guys is on sort of a flat square basically. Yeah. And I don't know if I can find one that's repeated. You see here, there's this guy here is used here. But when you see it from say this angle, you don't really see. You see that, so you've got to sort of hide it a bit. So it's just a case of checking it really, just tweaking it a bit, editing the texture, trying it in game, and then seeing how it looks. If it doesn't work, and just go back, change it. It's not not too much of a problem to change it.
Work on Colin McRae 3 is going well, and Guy and the Codemasters team look like they'll have a demo version of the game ready for E3. But why is E3 so important for games designers?
E3 is the biggest computer game show in the world now, so I mean everyone is there. It's an incredibly important showcase of products in general, so you're up against all of your contemporaries.
If you like games, you'll absolutely love E3. It's superb.
It takes about 20 minutes to half an hour to walk without stopping from one side to the other.
Great parties, lots of good food, lots of good drinks.
It's just so big, it's so loud. Just so many Americans walking around. There's a real vibe to it.
For Colin, it's particularly important because it's the first time we're really revealing the product to the public. We've not done any of that so far, so it's the first chance people are going to really have to really see the game and sort of get hands on and play it.
Codemasters. As Colin McRae, you're continually asking yourself one question. Is it the end? Is it a moment of glory? Will the axle hold?
Codemasters.
This is just a cut down demo. What we've really tried to do with this is show how the championship mode's going to work. Anyway, it was a slow start first thing this morning, but it's been pretty busy since then. We've lots of demonstrations to people from all over Europe and quite a lot of Americans as well. I think the game's gone down well. Generally, everyone that's seen it has been blown away, so that's always good.
Right now, I'm here looking at Colin McRae Rally, and it's just fantastic. If you're a little bit of a masochist like me, you're going to really enjoy the damage effects to your car. I have more fun just smashing into trees and walls than I do actually racing.
Hi, my name's David Solari. I'm the US Marketing Manager for Codemasters. Colin McRae Rally's really kicking it for us. Rally's not such a big thing in America, but we've had such a great response to it.
It's been busy, I have to say, and we have had to sort of encourage people to leave, shall I say. I mean, once people pick the game up and start playing it, they just get stuck in. And I mean, we've had a couple of people here sat here for an hour playing the game. It's almost 3 o'clock. We're gonna basically the show shuts at about 4, I think. We've got to take the stand down. We're out for a big sort of wrap-up meal tonight, I think. So yeah, it should be quite a fun evening. I mean, basically what happens now is we've got to go back and obviously get the game ready to ship. So we've basically got to go back and finish a whole load of stuff over the next couple of months to get it ready to go.
Colin McRae Rally, the brand, defined what rallying was all about in video games. The true grit and the true hardship and the damage and the smell of petrol in rallying. And what we've done with the next generation consoles is taken that and stretched it even further.
We've taken it right back to its roots and said, this time round, we're going to hopefully be able to do everything that we wanted to do, because the power of the consoles is so much more.
We've been able to do whatever we need to do, talk to whoever, ask whatever questions, and that's just given us a real sort of Colin's eye view as to how rallies work.
Of course, we've worked hard to try and make it as realistic as possible, and I really do feel that we've got something here which is far better than anything else on the market. I think it's a great game, and it's a great playing game, and I think it's going to grow and grow and grow.
So that's the end of the third chapter in the story of Colin McRae Rally. But it's only the beginning of the story for Colin McRae and Codemasters. As gaming technology continues to advance and the profile of international rally racing keeps growing, gamers and rally fans alike have good reason to be excited about what lies ahead.
Adrenaline, yeah, you get a lot of adrenaline, especially with Colin McRae as your driver.